So I'm going to now load my sterilizer with my instruments that are in my holding. So I've asked for my clean person to open the door for me for my sterilizer because I'm not allowed to touch over there. Over there is clean. So I'm going to open up my cupboard here and take my instruments out of my holding and load them into my trays. This is the first load of the day, so I need to do a biological indicator with this load. So I'm going to go into my cupboard here and I'm going to take out my instruments for BI, and I'm going to put a couple instruments together here. I'm also going to take out one of my biological indicators. So at this point, I don't need to write anything on this at all. We're going to write on that when we take it out the other side. So now I'm just going to load my instruments onto my trays. I have two different types of trays here. So for the regular rack tray, I'm going to just load my instruments on. My instruments can overlap slightly, that's okay, but they can't overlap a lot. So this is okay, whereas if I had these two, they would be too large to be with 3 on there. It's why it's really important to use the right size bag when you are bagging your instruments. This instrument could actually be in a smaller bag, and then I can fit more bags into my sterilizer at once. So for this one, I'm just going to go like this. Now I have 3 bags on here. I'm going to tell my clean person what I'm putting on so that they can write it down in the book. So right here I have 3 cotton pliers. And I'm going to load it in without touching anywhere on the sterilizer. I'm just placing it inside. And that's it. Now I'm going to show you how to load this one here. So this is just another type of tray that we have. So for these ones, all you're going to do is you're just going to place it in just like that. Once again, they can slightly overlap. The part that we're going to overlap is this part here. It's the part that is pre-closed for us or closed at the manufacturer. We're going to overlap that part because it has a better seal than the part that I've closed on this side. So that's the part of the bag that I'm going to overlap. Okay, so I'm just going to finish loading this all the way up. So I'm going to put 2 in each side, and then I'm going to tell my clean person exactly what I'm putting in. So I put in my cotton pliers, a basic kit, another mouth mirror, and a basic kit. I have one more basic kit here, cotton pliers. I have a spatula and one more basic kit.
This one has to go the other way.
Oh, yeah, let's flip that one around. Okay, so once I have these all placed in here, I'm going to load this into my sterilizer. So you can see I can fit a lot more on here than I can fit on a tray. So this is a really good one to use when you have lots of bags this size. For this one, I'm going to put it on the bottom. And I'm just going to place it in like that. So now I can fit one more tray in there, so I'm going to do one more tray of instruments. So I'm going to show you some examples of good bagging and bad bagging. So this is a good sized bag for our air water syringe. This bag here is a little bit big for our air water syringe. So when I put this one on, I can fit 1, 2, 3, I could fit 4, 5 of them on there. When I put this one on, I can only fit that one, right? So just be mindful of that when you're bagging your instruments. So plastic side up, paper side down. So I just realized, guys, this one's also incorrect. This one has a class 5 indicator in it. Class 5 indicators are used for critical instruments that are going to come into contact with the bone. This is an air water syringe. It's not needed in that one, so we only need a class 4 in that one. So now I'm going to place it in to my sterilizer, and now my sterilizer, I could maybe fit one more in there, but I don't want to overfill my sterilizer either, so I think that's good. So now that me, the dirty person, has loaded that, now my job over there is done. So now the clean person is going to step in and do the rest of it. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Statum. This is our Statum here and what the Statum is used for. So I'm going to get my clean person to actually take this drawer out here for me, because I'm not going to touch the outside of the machine. The outside of the machine is clean. I'm only going to place my instruments inside of the container to be processed. So now, as the dirty person, I'm going to put my stuff in. We can run things in here two ways. We can either run them bagged, or we can run them unbagged. So we could put them in here and put them in bagged. Obviously, you can't fit very many instruments in that. It's a pretty small space. We often use it with our unbagged instruments. We place them just directly in, just like that. When we place them in like that, we do need to include an indicator strip in them as well. So oftentimes these are when we are going to use that class 5 indicator strip, because what we're processing in here is going to be a critical instrument. Usually we're processing our forceps, or we're processing our endodontic instruments, things that we don't have a lot of in the office, but maybe we have a couple appointments booked back to back. We've used them and now we need them clean, and we need them clean quickly. So when I process it through, I'm just going to place my strip in beside, and then I'm ready to put this through. So one thing is with this Statum, when we run unbagged instruments through, they cannot be held. We have to use them right away. They're not something that we can hold in a holding area while we're waiting for a patient or waiting for an appointment. So now I'm going to get my clean person to close this up and put it in. Okay, so now we're ready to start the machine. We're going to select which cycle it is. So the one that we're using here would be the unwrapped. And then we're going to select the power button. Our user for here, we're just going to hit the next button. And again, the next button. Now we're going to say what was in there. We're saying this is a surgical instrument, so we're going to classify it as a surgical instrument. Hit the next button, and now my machine is running. So this machine is going to run with it like this until it's done. At the end, it's going to say that the load is completed. Right now, it just says on there that it has to get to 134 degrees, and it's going to run at that 134 degrees for 3.5 minutes. It's cycle number 26, which you can also see on the screen. And it's actually counting up in time, and what it's doing is it's just counting how long it's in there. So it's just tracking the time there and the temperature. My Statum is all finished. It's completed its cycle. So now I've just pressed okay to the completed cycle, and I'm going to say what user I am. So now I need to talk about my cycle and what happened. So in order to do that, I'm going to empty my tray out. So now I have my external chemical indicator. I don't have any on here, so I'm going to say NA. Now I'm going to look at my internal chemical. That is my strip, my indicator strip, that class 5 there. It is a pass because it's black all the way through. So I'm going to say pass. Air removal, that one is also NA. Next screen, instruments dry. Yep, my instrument is dry. That is also a pass. And now, did I have a biological indicator in? No, I didn't. So I am going to go next. And now I'm just going to do my printout and say pass. So now at this point, I can use this instrument. In order to transport this instrument, what I need to do is I would need to hand sanitize, put my gloves on, just my regular exam gloves. I'm going to take my instrument, place it on a tray with a tray cover, close that tray cover, and take it to the operatory to be used. This cannot be stored. It must be used immediately. Okay guys, so I am now my clean person. So the load is loaded into here. It's already in there. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to grab my binder from the drawer. This is my sterilization tracking binder. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fill out this load on my tracking sheet right here. So we talked about what we put in that load. I'm going to record that on here. So I had my basic kits. I had cotton pliers. And so on. I'm going to write them all on there. Then I'm going to write my load number. So my load number should be the next number from the last one that was in the book.
Sorry guys, I will be doing this part of the video Monday.
So now my load is completed. It says load complete on there. I'm going to open the door up. And then I'm going to remove my trays out. They could be hot. So if it's just turned off, I'm going to grab my rubber glove here to remove the tray. And now I'm checking for a couple things on the package. The first thing I'm checking for is that the outside indicator on the bag has switched over to brown from the pink that it started at. And then the other thing I'm checking for on this bag is my strip inside. I'm just looking to see that that strip has turned black all the way to the end at the inside. Those are the two chemical indicators that I'm looking for in the bags. So once I've checked those and I see that they're good, then I'm going to take my label gun. I'm going to change my load number and my date so that it matches. So I'm in sterilizer 1, so I'm just going to click over and turn that to a 1, and I'm going to get rid of this 2. So now you see it just says 1. I'm going to change my load number. So my load number that we were doing there was load 13. So now, sterilizer 1, load 13, and the date. So now when I stamp my bags, it's going to give me those things that I want. So now I'm going to stamp all my bags that are coming through here with that sticker. After they're stamped, I can put them down in my storage. So that's my sanitized or my processed instrument storage. I'm going to place them down in there. So just like that. This one I'm just going to keep on the side because it has my biological indicator in it. My BI for today, I need to now process that. So I've emptied my sterilizer. I'm going to take my racks out of it, and I'm just going to set them down without touching the counter onto the dirty side. I'll do the other one as well. Set it down without touching the counter onto the dirty side. So now I'm done with the sterilizer. All I need to do is deal with my BI. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this package. I'm going to remove the BI itself, and I'm just going to hold on to that. This instrument needs to be reprocessed now. It's been opened, right? So I'm just going to toss it back onto the dirty side, and my dirty person can deal with it over there. So now the first thing I need to do is I need to close this. So I'm going to snap it together, and then I am going to, where did my pen? Oh. I'm going to grab my pen right here, and I'm going to write on this. So I'm going to write the date today. I'm also going to write my sterilization number. And then I'm going to put my initials. So now I have my date, my sterilization number, and my initials on it. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write test on this, because it is my test one. So then I'm going to place it into my incubator. So I need to place it in on this side, snap it, and then I'm going to place it. I'm putting mine into 1. Now I am going to grab my control. I'm going to grab my control from this little basket behind. These ones haven't ran through the sterilizer. This is my check to make sure that my box of BIs is a good box or a good batch of BIs. So I'm going to close it. I'm going to write on the top C for control. Then I'm going to put on it the date today. And my initials. This one doesn't need for me to put a load number on it because it didn't go through a load. So now I can place my pen back in the container. And I'm going to break this one in the incubator just like I did the other one. Break it, take it out, shake it, and I'm going to place it. So this one I'm going to place in 6. So now I have my test in 1 and my control in 6. So now I need to go record that in my binder. So in my binder, I emptied it. So that was me that took them out. So I'm going to say what time I took them out. I took them out at 4 o'clock. And then I'm going to put my initials. My chemical indicators on my package, they all passed. I checked them all. And now I'm the one who also did the BI test. So I'm going to put my initials here. And then for my test one, I'm going to put my number 1 that I put it in. And the other thing I need to do is what time I put that in to the incubator. So I'm going to say 4 o'clock, August 26th. Now, I don't have to fill out the out or whether it passed or failed. The next thing I'm going to do is my control. So I put my control in number 6. I put that in at 4 o'clock. And it's August 26th. So now my part for the BI is all done. I'm going to come back in 24 hours and we'll look at the results. Okay guys, it's been 24 hours. So now we're going to check our BI and see if our sterilizer passed or not. So I put my, let's look in the book. I don't remember. I put my test into spot 1 and I put my control into spot 6. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my test first. So I'm going to take that test one out of spot 1 and has my date on it, has my load number, it all matches to everything on here. So now I'm going to determine if my sterilizer is working. So in order for my sterilizer to be working, it would have killed the spores. So we want it to be negative for spores. Negative for spores is purple. So this is a pass. So this is a pass, and I'm gonna write pass on my book. Then I'm gonna take out my control. So what is my control check for? My control checks that my spores or my BI tests, before they're processed through the sterilizer, are active or alive. So I'm taking my control out, so it says the C on the top, taking my control out of that number 6, and it is a pass or a fail. It's yellow. So yellow would mean it is positive for spores, which means that my BIs, my biological indicators, are working properly. They do have spores in them, which is exactly what we want. So this is a positive for spores, and it is a pass as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and write that in my book as well. Now I need to put my time that I took them out at. So right now it's 11 a.m. on August 27th. Oh, no, it's not. Sorry, it's the 29th today. 11 a.m. August 29th. There we go. So now I've recorded what time it came out, and I've recorded that it was a pass and a pass. So now my paperwork for that load is done. Now that also means that I can go into my storage bin here where I have my sterilized instruments stored, and I can put them away into our operatories because they're ready to be used. I know that the sterilizer worked and they're sterile.